guys, so in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you how to actually change your life in just 5 years as a farmer. Now I know that does sound crazy and you're thinking, is it even freaking possible? Well, I'll tell you that just 6 years ago I was working as a doctor. Now of course that's still better than what most people would be going through, and also it's still what a lot of people would desire to be, but I personally didn't have a dream of being a doctor for the rest of my life. And despite the fact that I was a doctor, I didn't think my life was really good. So I was probably in the same situation that you're in. You're probably working as whatever you're working as, maybe not as a doctor, but you just don't love what you're doing. So I was just probably in the same position that you're in, and I was thinking to myself, how can I turn my life around? I was hoping that I would probably retire by age 33. So I'm turning 33 this year. And I was hoping to myself that if I could leave formal employment by age 33, that would be good. That was my target. Now, I managed to do so at age 29, just 2.5 years after starting to practice, my medical practice. So that was 2021. But I started my farm in 2019. May 2019. So what I want to tell you is that it's actually possible. Yeah, it's possible because I was living something that I didn't enjoy. I had a vision of something that I wanted to become, and I actually managed to get into that vision. And 6 years later, I literally set the rules. I set the rules. I decide to do what I want to do. If I want to buy land, I can buy the land. Maybe not in every place that I can buy land in, but in a lot of places. Yeah, and hopefully in the near future, I should be able to afford buying land in most parts of the country or even the world. That's the goal. Yeah, I can go do what I want whenever I want from a lot of places. I'm not like, of course, the richest guy in the world, and I'm not aspiring to become the richest man in the world, because I feel like that's a pathetic goal to aspire to just take away all the joy in life. My aspiration is to live a fulfilled, joyful life. And also, if you think to yourself, well, Dr. Daniel, 5 years is so long. Well, I want to tell you that 5 years is not actually as long as you imagine. Yeah. Now, if you sit down right now and you're thinking 5 years in the future, you might think to yourself that 5 years is actually a long time. But if you sit down right now and look back 5 years in your past, and you look at the things you've actually accomplished in 5 years, you're going to be so surprised that you've barely done anything. You're literally just living the same routine. If you have any changes, there have probably been very small, tiny changes in the positive direction. And you honestly hoped that at this point you would have been much further ahead. So for you to sacrifice and actually work towards having a great future 5 years from now, have a very successful farm, live the kind of life that you would want to live 5 years from now, is actually much, much more worth it than you've ever imagined. So in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how. So stick around right through to the very end. The first thing is you've got to believe it. Yeah. Now I know this sounds like something you've heard very many times, but it actually plays a much bigger role than you can ever imagine. You've got to believe and visualize it for it to come to pass. Now, what you don't understand is that your beliefs and what you believe in, the things that you find realistic and real, actually play a very huge role in you getting things to happen. Yeah. So if, for example, I never believed that someone could actually build wealth and make money from a poultry farm, most probably I would have paused. Yeah. If you find a hardship, if you find a difficulty, it's very easy for you to surrender. It's very easy for you to give up when you find a difficulty. But if you do believe that it's actually possible, it becomes easy now. Some of you guys are actually lucky because, for example, you do have me, you do have my YouTube channel, and you see me sharing these stories with you. You've seen how I've been able to grow and do all these things, so it's quite easy for you to believe. But even after watching these videos, a lot of people still don't believe. You'll find a lot of people coming into my inbox or commenting on my pictures, let's say on Instagram or on Twitter, on my videos, and they're like, he's probably someone's proxy. He's probably, he's probably getting someone, he's still probably stealing someone's money or something like that. Why? Because a lot of people don't believe that it's actually possible. Yeah, a lot of people have grown up with this mindset where everything is so difficult, everything is so hard. All the people who only succeed around them probably steal or do shady stuff, that they don't believe that it's possible. Now, if you don't believe it's possible, it's going to be very difficult for you to implement it, because as soon as you do something, for example, initially when I had people, guys would steal from me. So they would steal from me and take my money and all these kinds of things. They would sell the eggs, and I was really struggling to make ends meet because someone was stealing. Now, if you're that kind of person who doesn't believe, the moment you encounter such a hindrance, you're going to give up. Just going to be like, it's certainly not worth it. I knew that this was going to happen. I knew that this could happen. And then that's going to be the end for you. Yeah. But if you do believe and you have faith and you know that it can happen, it doesn't matter what happens, or what comes your way, you know that these are things that are for you to overcome, and you'll find ways of overcoming them because you know that successful people actually make it happen. Yeah, they don't just sit down and wait, for calamities to happen. They make things happen. So first of all, you've got to believe. Second thing is that you've got to start somewhere. Yeah, you've got to start somewhere. Now this is something I've probably talked about a lot, but a lot of people actually spend too much time believing and planning and hoping to start that farm that they never end up starting. They spend a lot of time trying to gather money and come up with money. They spend a lot of time trying to motivate themselves, watching a lot of motivational videos, watching videos like this. They spend a lot of time trying to learn, telling themselves that, if they just can learn everything that they can, then they'll minimize their chances of succeeding. But it's difficult for you to get to the point where you feel like you've learned everything that can be learned. Very, very difficult. Extremely difficult. So you've got to start somewhere, yeah? Instead of sitting there and just planning for months and years and hoping that you're going to start at some point. If I was still believing and planning from 2019 up to now, nothing like this would still be there. I'd probably still be working as a doctor, yeah? Maybe USAID would have stopped funding Uganda, and then I would have lost my job as a doctor because I'd probably be working under a USAID project or something like that. Or I don't know, whatever, you understand? Or the owner of the hospital might have gone bankrupt or might have died, and then the business collapses and then I become jobless. Or none of those things might have happened. I might still be a doctor, but I'm still a captive to my job. I can't do what I want, whenever I want, wherever I want. Terrible position to be in. I don't like being that vulnerable. So you've got to start somewhere. I understand that the conditions might not be perfect. You might not have the money that you're requiring to start, but it's okay. Yeah, you might not have all the knowledge. You might not have all the things that you think that you require, but it's better for you to start, learn from experience. As the money comes along, if you've had some form of experience, it's easier for you to implement because you know where the mistakes are and where the mistakes are not. It's easier for you to implement and change things if you've actually started. So my information to you is that start. Just start. Yeah, start wherever you are. Don't waste time trying to learn as much as possible. It's okay for you to learn, but don't waste time trying to learn, trying to gather all the money. Just get resourceful. Find cheap ways of starting the farm. Find creative ways of running the farm, even in your absentia, so that you can succeed. Step number 3 is learning from your mistakes. There is a saying where they say, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. That's the definition of insanity, yeah? So, same exact thing. On the farm, if you keep making the same mistakes, if the same things keep happening every time, but you don't learn from them, but expect the farm to get better. For example, I personally don't allow visitors on my farm because I know that when visitors come on the farm, they can bring diseases, and then these diseases can spread to the poultry and the birds will die. So because of that reason, I personally don't allow visitors on the farm. If you're the kind of person who allows visitors to come onto the farm, the visitors come, then you get poultry diseases on the farm, the chickens start dying, and then tomorrow, again, you allow visitors onto the farm, you're just not learning, yeah? You understand that, this is what has probably caused you problems, but probably your auntie is too dear to you, your grandmother is too dear to you, your friends are too dear to you. Or maybe you're just a show off. You want to show everyone what you're doing on your farm. Terrible idea. I personally don't allow visitors onto the farm unless they must come onto the farm, and that just reduces the risk for me because I learned from the past that can be very, very catastrophic. Very catastrophic. So make sure that you learn from your mistakes. Every time you learn from your mistakes, you reduce the possibility of a calamity happening on your farm. So let's imagine, hypothetically speaking, that there were 100 different mistakes or things that can go wrong on your farm, yeah? So if you have one of the things go wrong, and then you correct it and make sure that that never happens on the farm, then you only have a list of 99 possible things that can go on the farm. Now, you could probably bring that list down to maybe 15, because those 15 things you can't control. Maybe a virus breaking down all around the world, like COVID-19, you could never have control of that. Or maybe war breaking out in your country, that's not something that you can control. So maybe those will remain, but then that means if your farm had a 100% chance of failing with 100 possible things, you've only brought it down to a 15% chance of failing. So that increases your chances of success, yeah? So make sure that everything that happens wrong on your farm, you learn from it, and make sure that it never happens again on your farm by making sure that you learn from your mistakes and implement measures on your farm to prevent those things from happening again. Step number 4 is scaling up. Yeah. So after you've figured out exactly how to run the farm, you've started the farm, you're learning from your mistake, then most probably by that point you're being efficient. Yeah, your farm is actually bringing in money. Your farm is getting you good results. Yeah, you're at the point where you're breaking even and you're actually making proper money. So at that point, that's the point when you need to scale up. Yeah, I don't advise that you scale up before you get to the point where you've understood the kinds of mistakes and the things that you require to run the business. But once you've figured that out, then the only thing that you're left with is to scale up. Yeah, get as much money as possible into your pocket and scale up. Yeah, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. That's the one thing that I do believe in. So personally, when I started out, I started with 750, but my goal was 2,000 chickens. And after 2,000 chickens, I was thinking to myself, well, 2,000 chickens is okay, but I can scale up. Why not scale up? I grew up to 4,000, 5,000. I'm now at 9,500. I've built a new chicken house that's taking me to 12,000. And later on, I'm going to be, right next to me here, I do have land, maybe an acre or so. I want to be building more chicken houses here that will take that up to maybe, 20,000 chickens. That means I'm giving myself, more opportunities to succeed, more opportunities to grow, to get big, because I've just figured out what to do that actually, makes the farm, grow big and successful. Yeah, so that is it. Scale up as much as possible. If it ain't broken, don't fix it. If the farm is bringing you money, unless there's a cap, and by a cap I mean, like, for example, the maximum number of eggs that I could sell. That could be an example for me. Yeah, so if I can't sell, let's say, 500 trays a day, then maybe that's the cap for that area and I need to stop there and go to another area. Yeah, but as long as I can sell them, then why not? Yeah, so scale up to as much as possible. And then finally, tip number 5 is to enjoy the moments. Now, I know this is quite crazy, but a lot of people get embroiled, entangled, or let's say they're even in captivity. The farm puts them in captivity. They forget to enjoy the moment. You see, like I've told you guys, I started the farm when I was 27. If I let the farm to literally enslave me, that would be 6 years in which the farm is growing, but 6 years of hell for my life. 6 years of not enjoying life. And I'll be honest with you, if I had to choose between enjoying life and making money, I would rather enjoy life, because, you only live one life, yeah? Now, of course, the problem is that you can't enjoy life for a really long time if you don't have money, yeah? So if I had a particular amount of money that could give me freedom, I would rather, set my cap at that point. Let's say $5,000 a month would make me really happy. I would rather keep at $5,000 a month than keep scaling to, $1 million a month, but I'm really sad because I'm busy chasing money. No, you want to enjoy the moment, yeah? Remember that you want to have a fulfilled life. You want to have a great life in 5 years' time. So how about you enjoy the journey, the way there, yeah? You don't want to be sad all throughout the entire journey. You don't want to struggle. You're making the money, but everything else of yours is breaking down. No, you don't want that, yeah? You want life to actually be a fulfillment. And so you want to enjoy the moments, yeah? Enjoy the points when you're building the chicken houses. Enjoy the interactions you have with the poultry workers. Enjoy everything. Take up the moment. Let the moments be what make life, yeah? For me, I really love the farm life because every day I'm enjoying the moment. Of course, I'm growing, I'm scaling, building more chicken houses. But if I look back on my 6 years, I'll tell you that I loved them. I don't feel like there were 6 wasted years, yeah? Because I was enjoying the moment. It's part of my life, yeah? These 6 years, it's not like I'm working towards a certain level of financial freedom, after which I will be free to enjoy life. No, that's pathetic, because what if it takes you 20 years? That's 20 years lost in your life. You want to grow while also enjoying the moment. So actually take the time to enjoy the moments and just have fun. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button, smash the notification bell, that way you never miss out on an upload. And also I made a free YouTube video which involves the technicalities of actually starting and feeding birds and raising birds. You can check it out. It's a great class. You would enjoy it. I'll leave a link to that video in the description. Catch you very soon with another video. Lots of love. Bye-bye.